Let's go to Cleveland now because the Browns released an unofficial depth chart yesterday ahead of their preseason opener Friday against the Panthers. 40-year-old Joe Flacco is at top of the list with 3-year veteran Kenny Pickett up next. Then the two rookies, Dillon Gabriel listed ahead of Shedeur Sanders, and that, of course, does not include Tyler Huntley, who the Browns just signed yesterday, which feels like it's sending another message. But nonetheless, one more time here with Jeff and Herm, obviously. Jeff, why is a quarterback-laden team adding yet another quarterback? Help me understand.
Well, it's injury related at this point, or they're just trying to have a starting 5 basketball team for pickup games at the Browns facility. But at this point, it is because of soreness. We're talking about hamstring issues facing Kenny Pickett. Joe Flacco still projected as the starter, but Dillon Gabriel dealing with hamstring stuff as well. Shedeur Sanders with some arm soreness. These are not long-term injuries, but they do need a camp arm in there at this point. By the way, we should view this, though, as soon as Sanders can get that arm back to strength, we should view this as a big opportunity for him. Part of the problem with getting drafted as a 5th-round pick is that there's not going to be a lot of reps in practice. He will conceivably get those reps if Pickett and Gabriel are still out with the hamstring injury. A big opportunity for Shedeur Sanders.
I bet old man Flacco's got a nice YMCA game. I bet he can post up if they put this 5-man team together and do some work there in the paint. Coach Herm, if you were Coach Kevin Stefanski, how would you handle this crowded quarterback room, a veteran who's seen everything and a couple of young rookies to boot?
Yeah, well, Flacco doesn't need a lot of reps. He can just take his jacket off and go play football. He's had more reps than you can imagine. He doesn't need any reps. He knows what to do when he gets in the game. And I think it's Gabriel and Sanders, obviously, and Pickett, okay? So when you think of Gabriel, when they drafted him, the first thing that came to my mind, he reminds them a lot of a guy that I played against in Cleveland. His name was Brian Sipe. He plays from the pocket. He's very accurate. That was Brian Sipe's, that was his traits. Sanders now, what he's got to do, he's got to beat out Gabriel. And what he's also got to do is stay out of the headlines for not playing football. He's been in the headlines too many thus far early in his career, and it hasn't been football related. Kenny Pickett is the veteran guy, obviously, but all these guys are not going to get reps. That's the problem. You don't have, this is not 2-hour practices anymore in the National Football League. You don't have enough reps to go around, so you're going to have to make some decisions in the preseason when you play them.
Yeah, and when they make those decisions, though, especially now with these injuries. But remember, Parsons has requested a trade. He said things in a lengthy notes Instagram post that said, my trade request has been submitted. I did everything I could to show that I wanted to be a Cowboy and wear that star on the helmet. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present, et cetera, et cetera. So where do things stand now? Well, we're pleased to be joined by Jeff Darlington and NFL analyst Herm Edwards. And Jeff, going to start with you first here, buddy. What's the latest on Micah Parsons?
Well, no deal. That's the latest. We're still in a standstill with this negotiation, as we have been all offseason. But we can add, the volatility to this does at least project that maybe we're coming to a bit of a fever pitch where something's going to have to give. Now, maybe that's not the case. Maybe Jerry Jones puts his feet in the ground and says, I don't care if you want a trade request. It's not going to happen. And we see what happens closer to the season. But it does feel like that we're reaching some sort of climax with this drama. We know that Micah is there. We know that the trade request is in. We know that Jerry Jones has a history of taking it down to this point before eventually getting a deal. That being said, if there were a suitor out there to step up and provide the kind of haul it would take to trade for Micah Parsons, that's where things get interesting. At this point, though, that deal does not exist.
That would be some kind of haul to reel in someone like Parsons, especially at his age. Coach, I'm curious your perspective here. Did you ever have to deal with a situation like this in your coaching tenure? And if so, how did it affect your team's ability to properly prepare for the regular season?
Well, I did. It was Larry Johnson when I was with Kansas City Chiefs, star running back. Obviously, he was holding out. And I know Brian's probably doing the same thing I did. I called Larry every day. The negotiations were going on. I said, don't worry about it. It's going to get done. And then I spoke to the team and told the team, just remember this. This is the business of the NFL. When Larry comes back, he's part of our team, obviously, and he'll be back. And he got back. And I think the thing that we all got to realize is this is the business part of the National Football League. And every player knows if you're a star player, you might not get what you want right away, and you might have to sit out and miss some time. Actually, for Parsons, it's probably okay. We know he's the star. You're going to bring him along slow as the season starts if he misses a lot of training camp. But look, He's going to be part of the Dallas Cowboys. Are you kidding me? Jerry's not going to get rid of Micah Parsons.
He's no dummy. Listen, this thing might not be close, though. I remember I was covering the Bears when the Khalil Mack trade went down.
Yeah.
It happened after the preseason, like that small gap between the preseason and the regular season. So we could be in for a little bit of a long haul. Let's go to the other side of this joint practice that's happening later today. Matthew Staffords still is not practicing due to that back soreness. What are you hearing, Jeff Darlington, about when the Rams expect to see Stafford be available?
Well, the best thing I can tell you is not immediately, and probably not the update that Rams fans want right now, but Sean McVay did make it clear that Matt Stafford remains week to week. He is not expected to participate in that joint practice. In fact, when he's practicing with the Rams, he's off on his own, doing his own workout, not within the team drills. Of course, this is disconcerting because of the history with back and neck situations involving Matthew Stafford. Right now, the team trying to evoke some confidence to say this is still general soreness. We're going to try to make sure that we're just playing this right early in training camp. But I will say, every single day closer to the season where we don't have a more definitive, clear update, it's certainly a little bit disconcerting.
Yeah, Jeff, as a Rams fan sitting here at the desk, I'm starting to grow a little concerned, especially given Stafford's age and all the miles on his body. Now, Coach, that's the big variable here with the Rams, if they are fully healthy, and that remains to be seen. But we know they got weapons on offense for Stafford to play with if he's out there. Can they contend in the NFC? Can they contend for a Super Bowl if Stafford is healthy enough to play?
Absolutely. Stafford is a 15-year veteran. His clock is ticking too. He knows that he's only has so many years left. He has a really excellent football team. They are the favorite in the NFC West, by the way, this Ram team. And they're good on both sides of the football. I do think this. They're one of the top 5 teams in the NFC, period. I would put them probably ahead of the 49ers right now in the NFC West because of all the de facto players that the 49ers lost. Both their receivers are out right now. I know that. I was with John Lynch this weekend or watching a concert up in San Francisco. Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall are not practicing at this point. They will be back. They're excellent players. But I like the Rams. I do. I think that they're an ascending team going forward.
That's a squad that gave the Eagles their toughest game in the march to a Super Bowl last year, right on the doorstep of winning that game in Philly. Guys, stay right there because we have some QB questions to get to in just a second. The Colts released an unofficial depth chart ahead of their preseason opener Thursday against the Ravens, and like me in my 20s, Shay, they were non-committal.
How things have changed.
At QB, Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones listed as QB1. Richardson, 8-7 in his career as a starter. Daniel Jones, 20 games under 500 in 69 starts with the Giants.
Go back now with Jeff and Herm. Obviously, Jeff, to you first. What are you hearing about the Colts quarterback competition and where it stands right now?
Well, that word that you see in between that graphic, or, that is the operative word right now at Colts training camp, the depth chart saying that it's one or the other. Now, I will say that Shane Steichen made clear that this is a neck-and-neck competition between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. I would anticipate, we know that practices are generally more important to coaches, but preseason games will go a long way with both of these players and how they're able to ultimately ascend. We know the team does want to see their draft pick in Richardson get this job and hold it, but Shane Steichen making very clear this is a competition and he is absolutely going to have to earn it.
Coach Herm, I'm curious what you think this says about Richardson's development, that he's in this situation his 3rd year in the league.
Yeah, he struggled now some, but I do think this. Quarterbacks are as good as the offensive play caller and the design of how you create the offense. Richardson is a guy, he's not a drop-back pocket quarterback. You've got to move the pocket for him. You've got to give him some easy throws, allow him to use his legs. Now, on the other side of it, Anthony Richardson has to be a better decision maker with the ball. He can't turn the ball over. What I used to tell young quarterbacks, I said, there's no 3 reads for you. You get 1, 2, and when you hear number 3, you know what that tells you? Go run. Just run. As fast as you can, protect yourself, go make a first down, and keep the chains moving. But what you cannot do is throw interceptions. We know this guy has a live arm. He's a big, strong athlete. But what he has to do, he has to get better in the pocket. And they ask him to play from the pocket, not all the time. But when he does, he's got to make better decisions.
Yeah, he missed 13